Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to be joined today by Gavin Caleb of Home Inspection Perfection. Gavin and I have known each other for just over about a year now, and I've had a really wonderful time getting to know him. And we've had some really great conversations, both on professional and on a personal level. I know you guys are going to enjoy hearing what he has to say and his views on success and how he's achieved his success. Because let me tell you, this guy, he knows exactly what it means to become one of the top home inspectors and owning his inspection perfection business. He's done really well with it. So I'm excited for you guys to hear what he has to say. And Gavin, I thought that we would start off by introducing you and letting you tell everybody who you are, what you like to do, your personal endeavors. So please take it away.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. A little bit about me. So I'm kind of a mishmash in my background, but I come from a family of architects. So I've always been around construction since a kid. And eventually I got into the world of physio, but that never really struck a chord with me. And here I am back in the construction world with inspections.
It's amazing. Now,
Yeah.
as our guest today, oh, sorry, go ahead. I
No,
apologize for cutting you off.
no, yeah. So I have my own business for home inspection perfection, obviously, but I also do consulting with, companies like Terrion, and I've worked for other companies as well in the construction industry. So I've been around for a while.
I think that really speaks volumes, the fact that you do consulting work with Terrion, because I mean, obviously everybody here in Ontario specifically, we know Terrion, right? So
Yeah.
I think that that definitely shows a high level of professionalism in the industry. Now, as our guest today, what I want to know is what our audience can anticipate learning and gaining from my conversation with you.
Okay. So, I guess everyone's looking for something different. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint what they're looking for. But what I can tell you is I can just be raw and open about my business, how I got here, and just I'll tell you about my business in the inspection industry.
And I think that's really important because I think a lot of people are a little bit intimidated by the home inspection industry. You know, a lot of people who are ordering the home inspections are kind of concerned about, oh, is this person going to do a good job? Are they going to be thorough? Are they going to just hand me a piece of paper, which I know is not your business practice at all. And
No.
then also other people kind of look at it like, oh, is this person, going to be against me? Obviously, the homeowners who are trying to sell the house that you're inspecting are concerned whether or not it's going to pass. So I think that there's a lot of kind of mystery involved with home inspections. So as a successful inspector, how do you personally define success in your professional and in your personal life too? Because they do go very hand in hand. And I want to know, has your definition of success evolved over time? Because I know for me personally, it has. How about you? What's success to you?
Yeah, it definitely evolves for sure. I think there's been some moments in my life where I've been forced to pivot, and that
Mhm.
kind of just everything realigns. So when I first had my business, it was like I said before, I was working in the hospital industry and doing physio, and I enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed educating people. I actually taught at Humber College too, and for me, I just wasn't getting that. "Oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life."
Yeah.
So for me, success was finding something that made me happy, finding like a purpose in what I did. So that was my initial search for success, we'll call it. And then again, there's always that monetary, you know, infatuation where like I need to make money. And
Yeah.
for me, it was how can I work less and make more money? And that's what it was. It was for me, it was my knowledge based on my, family experience with my dad and,
Yeah.
combining that with I just want to learn. I'm like a forever student. So I went back to school, got my certificate, and then I'm like, okay, if I do inspections, I can work part-time, make more money than working full-time. And then unfortunately, you know, my life took a turn. I got really sick and I was off work completely for 18 months. And that just made me focus. And my success then became my family, like time with my family, because that was to me the most valuable thing in the world. So that's when I think everything just shifted into a different direction for me.
And I think that's really awesome because they all kind of play into each other still. Because with success becoming the time with your family, being able to work on a little bit of a lighter schedule while still maintaining the same level of income or greater
Mhm.
means that you are able to reallocate working time to family time, which I think helps you reach an even higher level of success because you're now pairing professional and personal together. And I really love that you prioritize your family as success
Mhm.
because I know having good relationships, and I know you've got some really good relationships with your family.
Mhm.
I think that's such an important aspect of what helps people thrive individually and really be able to stay motivated in tougher times towards goals. So I love that answer.
No, thank you.
Now I want to know, speaking
Yeah.
of success and the different ways that we view the success, when you reach a goal, when you've put a goal in place and you're getting close to reaching it and then you actually achieve it, how do you celebrate? What do you do to you know, encourage yourself to reach more goals in the future? How do you celebrate your wins?
So I think that's kind of like a two-point question. So
Mhm.
people who know me, like I am the most modest, humble person that I think there is because like I'm not one to be flashy. I've never really had that drive to like drive this car, live in this house. It's always been like modest.
Mhm.
So for me, in terms of like celebrations and milestones, I do have milestones obviously for my profession. I want to have X amount of inspections a month. I want to have X amount of connections with realtors. Like I do have my goals in terms of what I want to do. But in terms of celebration, to me, like honestly, spending time with my kids. If I reach a milestone and I've created a net nest of like X amount of dollars, we'll go on a little vacation. We'll go here. We'll go for dinner. We'll go like just do something.
Oh,
And
I
for
love
me, I think that's like the best thing ever because I could buy something, but again, my mindset too is depreciating assets, right? Like, do you buy something, enjoy it momentarily, and then just watch it depreciate, or do you build those memories with my family? And for me, that's the way I would celebrate.
Oh, I love that. I really do. And actually when I think about it, if I reframe the way that I do a lot of my celebrations as well when I reach a goal, it
Mhm.
often is very family oriented and it involves spending time with them and doing something like I thrive going out and doing the little day trips with my kids and my husband. I love doing that kind of stuff. I love going out for dinner. It doesn't even have to be somewhere fancy. I just love going out and having that experience. So I love that you celebrate based on experiences with your family and time. It's a very sweet way to do it.
Mhm. And make memories. That's the way I see it.
Absolutely. Because I mean, honestly, that is one of the most valuable assets that we do carry is our memories. So,
Agreed.
okay, so I want you to share with us some of the strategies and methods that you employ for planning for your future. So this would be both from your career perspective as well as your personal endeavors. How do you set things in motion? How do you kind of get prepared for it?
So I've always had goals. Like I've always been a goal-oriented like person, and for me, it's always up here. Like, okay, here's what I'm going to do, and boom, I do it. And I've always been driven to do it. But it's funny because I my partner, she's a life coach,
Yeah,
and this year she's like, we're going to do something different. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So
I
we
love
sat down and we literally took an entire day and we wrote down our goals that we see accomplishing, within the year.
it.
And we did professional goals, personal goals, family goals, financial goals, educational goals, even like personal goals for personal growth.
Yeah,
And then we took that 1 year time frame and then we broke it down into 3 month segments.
yeah,
And then we even did like for myself, I did like little weekly goals. And
that's
pat on my back, my goal for 27 or 2027 was to get 7 new agent connections for home inspections. And I did that within the first month and a half.
brilliant. Well, you are a very good networker, and
Thank
because
you.
your work really does speak for itself, I am not surprised at all that
Wonderful.
you blew that goal out of the water. So that's
Yeah.
amazing to hear. And I love how you guys have broken it down. I know with
Mhm.
with your partner being a life coach, there's a very unique set of tools that you have access to, which is amazing. But almost what you described is exactly what I created in the book that I'm going to send you a copy of.
Amazing.
And it touches 6 pillars of life, which you are already doing. One of the things that I find people who are extremely successful in life,
Mhm.
what they recognize is that in order to be truly successful, you have to be looking at the entire picture. So, I call it the 6 pillars of life, but it involves every aspect: your health, your mental and spiritual health, your career, your financing, your relationships, like being able, and also your own personal development too. Those are the 6 pillars. Being able to recognize how there needs to be goals for all of it. If you're not working on, let's say, relationships, that almost always somehow reflects in your career, because if you're not happy with your relationships in your personal life and you don't have a good support system there, then you don't tend to be able to carry the same level of motivation and determination in reaching your other goals and other aspects. So I think
Right.
that's really wonderful. And the way that you also broke it down, there's so much research and brain theory behind taking those goals and breaking them down. You can have a really big goal for a year from now for your health. Let's say that you want to run your first, or you want to participate in your first Ironman. I was going to say run. I know it's not just running, but you wanted to do the first Ironman. Well, there's so many incremental steps that you need to achieve to get there a year from now. So
Yeah.
often people just see that big goal and then it
Mhm.
becomes highly overwhelming. Whereas if they're breaking it down, in a quarterly perspective, and then, like you said, a weekly perspective, makes it so much more attainable and so much more manageable. So I think it's brilliant that you've been able to do that yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of everything plays off of one another too,
Yeah.
right? Like if you think about it, if you'll solely focus on your business,
Mm-hmm.
that goes to the wayside, right?
Yeah.
But if you still solely focus on relationships or your health and everything else, but this way, kind of, it's like a snowball effect, right? Like everything just kind of picks up off one another, and boom, 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 and
Yeah.
before you know it, like you've accomplished everything on your list. And like you said, when you break it down into attainable goals, it makes it more realistic,
Yes.
right?
I don't
Because yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was going to say, I don't know if I've ever shared with you like a snapshot of what my daily calendar actually looks like, but I have it broken down. I have it broken down for free time. So that's like the time that I can do, whatever I want. I
Yeah.
have it broken down into my work time, which is also further broken down into administrative tasks and so forth, and focus work tasks. And then I also have my family time scheduled in. And I know how there's a lot of people who will be like, oh my God, you schedule in family time. But
Mhm.
actually, what I have found, naturally, people have family time. Like once you get home from work until like bedtime is usually family time. But I have consciously
Yeah.
scheduled in that family time for, the period of time when I get home, when my kids get home, to when they go to bed. And then it's even extended, but it's also personal development time. Once kids go to bed, my husband and I can do some personal development time together.
Mhm.
And it's really powerful having that control. And it's such a small little thing that I've done to my daily schedule that has made a profound impact, because it gives me the control over the goals and
Yeah,
it
and
gives me the path.
that's right, and routine too.
Yes.
Routine is paramount because, I mean, it's easy to just, "Oh, I'll get to it later. Oh, I'll get to it later." But if it's on your calendar, you're hopefully gonna do it, right? You're more
Yeah.
inclined to do it. Yeah.
So, okay, quick question, side note question. How do you make yourself stay accountable to your own calendar? Like, obviously you've got the meetings that you have to attend, you're
Yeah.
accountable to that. But
Mhm.
let's say that you schedule in a task. How do you make sure that you stay accountable to a task that could
So,
otherwise be fluffed over?
for sure. So, actually, I recently just downsized to a condo, and I have my den,
Yeah.
and it's kinda like a den slash my son's bedroom.
Yeah.
But I honestly, I remove myself, I go to my
Mhm.
den, and that's my workspace,
Yeah.
and that's what I do. Like, I'm not there now because it's too dingy in there, but light coming in. But, like, I mean, when I seclude myself, I
Hmm.
have no choice but to do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. Focus. You're in your flow.
Yeah, yeah. So
Flow
just
state.
a designated space maybe is what helps me.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, you know, I also often work from home too. And it's really wonderful being able to work from home, but it's also a little bit of a curse sometimes too, because there
Mhm.
are things that are just far too accessible to be like, oh, I'm just going to do this for 20 minutes and then an hour later.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I oftentimes do put myself in a spot where I am fully dedicated to that spot. Like, stick me in my chair. I am there for the next 90 minutes, because I
Yeah.
schedule myself in 90-minute cycles and 20-minute increments. So it's
Okay.
brain theory behind it. But effectively, the way that it works is our brains can only focus specifically at its maximum potential for about a 90-minute period. But during that, our brains begin to wander from tasks at about 20 minutes. Like at about 20 minutes, we're like, oh, I wonder what's happening outside. Oh, this person hasn't called me back, whatever's going on. So what I do is every 20 minutes or so, my phone blinks and I stand up, or I take a sip of water, or I'll stretch in my seat for like 1 to 2 minutes, nothing long. Then I get back to task. And then I work on that task for another 20 minutes. And I keep doing that until my 90-minute increment or my 90-minute cycle is finished. Because after 90 minutes of straight administrative type tasks, my brain becomes depleted at that point. But what I really rely on is my phone reminding me. I've got calendar reminders that come up all the time, but I have my timer reminders that tell me, okay, time to switch tasks. And what I find is it keeps me at my peak level of performance because it keeps me in my flow state for each task that I'm doing. And the way that I design my cycles is one 90-minute period will be based on administrative type work, so emailing, research, and whatnot. And then another 90-minute cycle will be all creative. So that might be taping videos or podcasts, creating content, creating new courses, creating a plan for my clients, whatever creation gets to be creation. So it's using a different side of my brain. So that was one of my key to success in being able to achieve some of those goals. Because when you get tired, it's easy to get demotivated, but it keeps you on track. So
it's a great technique. Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you, so you have been, as I've said a couple of times, you've been very successful with home inspection perfection. You've got a great reputation. I know people who know you personally with it. And you always do such a good job. You work on the side of both the agent and also the client, and it really resonates with them. So I want to know what part of your secret sauce has been, what values and principles do you prioritize in your work, and how have they been part of building that success that you've achieved?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, thank you for the accolades, but I don't know if there's like a secret sauce. I just think it's who I am. Like I'm very ethical, and being in this industry, I see all kinds of stuff, and I think being true to who I am and being ethical about the whole process, and it's providing like unbiased, solely objective information at the time of the inspection. I'm not on anyone's side really, and for me, it's education. Right? So I'm there to observe, report, and educate. So I've heard of inspectors that just be like, okay, here's the issue, next. Here's the issue, next. Whereas I like, and again, maybe it's just the educational component of myself that I enjoy, is I'll say, okay, well, this is here, and this is most likely here because, and I can give a couple of reasons. And it's as inspectors, it's not really our job to investigate why. It's just to open report. But I mean, based on my experience, I like educating my clients, and this is the potential reason for why these issues exist.
Yeah.
Right? And then here's the issue. What is the problem with this issue? Like, is it a health and safety issue? Is it a building code violation? Is it something that's going to cost you, a significant amount of money in the short term? Or is it just something that's discretionary or cosmetic? And from there, I can also go and I take it one step further and I say, well, here's what you need to do to remediate the problem.
I think that's really important.
Well, for sure. Because I mean, it's not just a matter of a business practice to calm people down, to encourage them to make the sale, because I don't get any money if they buy the house or not. Right?
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of educating them on the whole process, right? Because I could tell you, oh, there's mold there. Okay, next. Yeah, this is the issue with this. But okay, why is the mold there? There's probably a leak in the roof, but guess what? They put a new roofing system on. When I go in the attic, I'll investigate further to see if there's still any existing damage or if it's been done. And if there is existing damage, here's what you can do to remediate it. It'll probably cost you X amount of dollars. If that's something you're comfortable with, ultimately the purchase decision is yours. There you go.
And that's really brilliant because for any real estate agents who are listening, you know how important knowing what a repair is going to cost because it gives you negotiation power, right? So if it's like, oh, replacing this roof is going to cost you, I don't know, what would a general roof replacement cost these days?
Yeah, if you're talking just shingles, based on square footage, slope, color, for typically a 45-year shingle, we'd say on average 5 to 7,000 just
See,
the shingles. Yeah.
perfect. So that gives
Yeah.
them leverage. Okay, so we're instead of going in for a house at, let's say 1.1 million,
Mhm.
maybe we're going in at that house at 1.09 million.
Mhm.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So it gives you that negotiation power. So I love that you do provide that additional step, because I do know a lot of other inspectors do not. They give just that list. So it really does help. And when you're working with people, when you have that balance, how do you maintain the balance between the technical aspects of the home inspection, what you're seeing and what you're reporting, versus that, really personalized service that you're also giving to the clients? Because you
Yeah.
do communicate different, and I think it's in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, the technical aspect, yes, there's always the pictures, the thermography, the moisture meters, all those tools that we use. The
Mhm.
report itself is very wordy, but I think what it is too is I make myself very accessible to my clients, whether they're whether they're purchasers, whether they're sellers, whether they're agents. And I don't just say, here's my report, see you later, I'm on to my next job. It's here's the report. And even like in my email, I say, if you have any questions, feel free to call me, I can explain things. And 9 out of 10 times they don't, because I think I've done a well enough job of explaining myself. But when
Yeah,
they do, I'm glad. Like, talk to the agents that I work with, they'll tell you, like, I always answer my phone unless
yeah.
I'm doing a podcast with Colleen. Yeah, I'm always accessible. And I think I tell them too, like, at the time of the inspection, when you move in, if there's something that you're questioning, or you think that, hey, what did he say about this? Like, that was 3 months ago, I don't remember. Call me. I've even done situations where people have moved in and they're like, what did you say about this? And then I'm like, FaceTime me. And they'll FaceTime me, they'll walk through the house. Oh, there you go. This is this is that. And it puts their mind at ease too. And I think it's just my job, like I say, is to educate people. I don't want to scare people, but I will present them information, right? So if I can do something to put their mind at ease, even after they moved into their house, by all means, like, why not? Give me a call.
And this is something that I think also continues to build off a business. So much of business these days comes from establishing a trust factor. When you work with people from the educational standpoint, you become an authoritative figure. And then when you allow yourself to continue to be accessible to individuals, even after the deal's been closed, even after you've been paid, it builds that trust even further. So then I would imagine that, if I was a past client of yours and I had a friend who was thinking about buying a house, I'd be like, hold on a second, you have to use Gavin, because he will tell you, like, he's not gonna bullshit, or he's not gonna just give you a list. You're gonna know exactly what you need to fix and how much it would cost. So that trust factor is so paramount in building a successful business, which, like I said, I know why so many real estate agents like to work with you, because of that. So
Yeah, thank you.
amazing.
Sorry, I think this year this month I've just finished my 6,000th inspection.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And especially, like, something to remember too is a lot of that was done during the COVID times too. And that
Mhm.
was a time when, people were really struggling with trust and relationship. And then also it was the height of the whole pandemic, and, houses were going so quickly and at ridiculous prices in a lot of
Yeah.
cases. So that's amazing.
And I think,
Congratulations.
thank you. But it also goes to show, like, you have to pivot too with your business, because,
Hmm.
at that time, inspections, they ramped up right when
Yeah.
COVID hit, and everyone wanted to upsize because they wanted a home office, and
Yeah.
interest rates were so low that, I was busy. Like, I was subbing out work because I was so busy.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where inspections stopped because there were bidding wars.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had clients calling me and they're like, well, hey, we bought this house. So I was doing post purchase inspections where people
Yeah.
had bought homes, but they still wanted peace of mind. They recognized that, there was value in what I did and what I provided. So they'd call me in after the fact. So a lot of, like, I have a huge network of other inspectors that we kind of help each other with education, as well as, if I can't get a job, we kind of work off one another. It gets to the point where, they were they were kind of like, hey, I might close my business.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm still pretty busy. And then what I also offered was we did walkthrough consultations. So when people would go to look at the house, I'd be like, hey, I'll come with you for the hour viewing or half hour viewing that you have. We'll just do a quick scan of your house. Like there'll be no pictures, no reports, but we can give you like some idea of what this house has. Like there's no structural issues,
Yeah.
significant costs that we can see within that time frame. And people again saw the value in that, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is genius! At least I have some peace of mind."
Yeah.
It got to the point where I would do the walkthrough with them. They saw the value, and then afterwards they'd be like, "Well, just come by anyways and do the full inspection." So
That's
it's like
smart.
double dipping on those deals, right? So
That's really smart from a business perspective. Again, no wonder why you've been successful doing this. That's really business minded. So that's brilliant that you came up with that.
I like thinking outside the box.
That's good. Well, that brings me to my next question.
Yes.
With the industry, how do you ensure that you're staying on top of the latest trends, the advancements in technology and also the different regulations? Because I feel like there's been like some new regulations that have come through based on building codes and whatnot. So how do you stay updated with it all?
So with the techie part, I mean, so first of all, just if we take a step back, home inspectors were not regulated in Ontario.
Right.
So anyone can call themselves a home inspector. So that again also touches base on that comment you made before about people being who I trust.
Yeah.
So I myself, I'm certified. I went to school for it. I've taken my OBC courses, Ontario Building Code courses. I actually have my BCIN, my Building Code Identification Number, which a lot of inspectors don't have. I'm insured. So I mean, it's all part of the process, but a lot of inspectors don't have all those qualifications. So just if you're looking for someone, even if it's not me, I tell people ask these questions because 9 out of 10 times they'll call me back.
Yeah.
But in terms of keeping up with everything, so there's like products that change, whether they're building products. There's things that get recalled, in terms of like electrical safety authority things that we look for. What else is there? There's technology is always changing. So I've been pretty consistent in terms of what I use for my reporting system, and that hasn't really changed very much. I've modified it, but the actual product hasn't changed. Efficiency, like certain things with building code with efficiency, that's changing. And how do I keep up with it? Well, the BCIN, I took courses. I'm also a part of Internachi, which is the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. So there's ongoing education through them, which it's mandated. There's nothing in Ontario that says we have to do it, but I just choose to do it. And then again, with my network of inspectors and trades, if something new happens, we'll get a call. We have a WhatsApp group. We just kind of chat in there. Hey, do you know about this? Hey, do you know about that? And we just kind of keep ourselves updated.
That's smart because you're really proactive about it.
I like to be because houses were built a certain way back in the 60s and houses are built a certain way now. So you kind of have to know the whole spectrum. It's not just what we see today.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And because you're doing you're continually, as you've mentioned, you're continually doing continuous learning and professional development in it, you definitely probably have a curve over other inspectors that are kind of falling by that wayside.
I like to think so. But I mean, I'm not like the way I conduct my business is I am who I am. Not that I don't care about my competition. I mean, you obviously want to size up where you stand, but I'm at the point now where this is what I provide and it seems to be working and snowballing for me. So
you're doing good. You're definitely doing good. Now, with all that said, what I want to know is what kind of legacy do you want to leave? Not necessarily leave behind once you're passed away, but what legacy do you want to be creating for yourself as you're working so hard? Because you're doing the work, you're proactive, you're staying ahead of the curve, you're carrying licenses that you're not required to have, but are beneficial to have. You're building the peace of mind with your clientele, you're killing it with the networking business. So what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
I mean, legacy is kind of like a very it's a term that I'm not really familiar with in terms of legacy. I think passing on, what's my legacy?
Yeah.
But in terms of myself and what my younger son is really interested in the business. So I would like to leave something for him if, that's something he wants to do. But in terms of my reputation, I want to be known as the guy who was the ethical guy, the guy who was, top of his game. Like he was the one that we went to, that everyone went to, because he knew his stuff. He was on point, and he was just, you know, a good guy. Yeah, I think that would be my legacy. And in terms of like monetary stuff, like whatever comes with it, I'll leave to my children. I do like, I've even educated other inspectors. Like, you know, I've had other people graduate and say, hey, can I just tag along with you for inspections to kind of figure out what you're doing? So I said, sure, no problem. So, I mean, I want to be that guy that's known as like, he's just there to help people.
I like that. Do
Yeah,
you think, so kind of a little off topic, but on topic still, do you think that regulations will change in the industry and it will become like home inspectors will become more regulated and need to carry specific licenses?
absolutely. So there are provinces that are regulated where you have to have a license to perform inspections. I would like to see it go that way for a couple of reasons. One, I think it'll standardize the industry,
Yeah.
because I've done inspections after inspections. And like, I don't like talking bad about other inspectors, but at the same time, it's disservice to the client.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you have one bad experience and you say like, oh, I know this inspector, like, I don't know about that. But, you know, at least if we're all kind of on the same level, then at least it puts everyone on the same playing field, right? And then at least you're providing a consistent product to all clients, right? And I think the other thing I want to touch base on is there's a lot of this like social media and like there's name branding and stuff. And there's a lot of people out there that, you know, they're the big names and, oh, you go to them because they know their stuff. Well, you know, speaking from experience, I've had one of those companies try to buy me out because, you know, I don't know if they feel threatened or whatnot, but you know, they've offered me several times to come and purchase my company. But I've done actually, so to backdate it, they wanted to hire me
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Yeah.
I saw the way that their training was. I saw reports because I asked for specific things. I said, I want to see your reports. I want to go out with your inspectors and see how you guys conduct inspections. And I was thoroughly disappointed.
Mm.
And big name, like I expected, like the caliber.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, no way. And then they started franchising. And then he approached me himself saying, hey, we want to buy your business. I'm like, no, thank you. So I think don't get caught up to potential, you know, buyers, even agents. Don't
Yeah.
get caught up with the big names because, you know, you could be thinking you're getting something, but you're not really getting the quality that you think you're getting.
I know, and that is something that is kind of ringing so true, especially in today's digital age.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are becoming brand experts, so they're learning using, you know, different AI, which I absolutely endorse using AI to build business. But a lot of them are getting, you know, AI guidance, building out a good name brand, but unfortunately they don't have the actual gusto underneath that carries that name because there's, you know, whatever shortfalls that they carry, they haven't fixed. But
Mm-hmm.
I think so something that popped into my mind that I was thinking about when I queued up the question about, you know, the education and regulations is knowing that you are a strong educator, having taught before when you were in the physio industry,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps that can be part of your legacy is that you in some capacity help bring the regulations to Ontario and help standardize the home inspection industry and also maybe even help grow some budding inspectors that are modeled after the way that you do business.
Yeah, that'd be great. I
Would
mean,
be an idea.
I'll, yeah, you know, maybe I'll call a couple of people, start reaching out to my network. Yeah, you know what?
Absolutely. You should. Even anybody who's like looking to expand and any new people looking to get in the industry, maybe you could become one of the educational resources.
For sure. Why not? Put it
I
on my
love it.
resume.
All right, so final question that I
Yeah.
want to ask you is what message or insights do you want to leave with our audience today? I love chatting with you about your perspective on success, how you've achieved success, how you continue to maintain your success. So what do you want to leave the audience with?
I mean, if we're talking about success, I would just broad spectrum, you know, do it. Don't hold back.
Mhm.
You know, just there's so many times where I was like, maybe I should. And then, you know, when I did it, I was like, I should have done this earlier.
Yeah.
So, I mean, don't hold back. Write it down. Put pen to paper. Even though that's just the start right there. Like we always have these thoughts of like, I want to do this. I want to do that. Put it on paper. Put a date beside it. Make it something tangible, and
Yeah.
then just kind of work towards it. So that's what I would say in terms of like for success. And in terms of inspections, don't skip out on inspections.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've done homes, again, if we were talking about post inspections, I did a home, the buyer said, "Oh, you love the open concept basement." I said, "No, there's no such thing." They'd taken out a post
Oh no.
when the house was sagging. It cost them $80,000 to repin their house.
Oh
So
God.
don't skip inspections.
Yeah, I can to a degree relate on that.
Yeah.
I've got a bungalow and we had the center beam that supported the house. Well, when we had a septic flood of all floods in the basement, had to rip everything back down to the literal studs. And then when we started doing that, found all these other problems. There was a crack in the foundation, there was all flooding, yuck. Anyways, really ripped it down to the studs, like took everything out, including the ceiling. And that's when we found out that our support beam across the house had been cut in 3 different spots.
Oh, geez.
Yep.
Yeah, it
So
happens.
had to get a new one put in. I forget exactly how much that cost. It wasn't completely crazy because it's not an absolutely large house, but the new support being put in. And then what we found was about a week after we started noticing, oh, that wall's cracked now. Oh, those are definitely when the what's it called when the nail pops out?
Oh yeah, the nail pops. Yeah.
Yeah, nail pops. There you go.
Yeah.
So they were all over the house, and this is not a new house. This house is built in the 1970s. We've obviously done some, new things to it, but we noticed all this around there. I'm like, how long has this house been sagging like this for?
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Even the floors shifted too. I noticed there's big gaps in the floors. So, probably should have had you over when we were buying.
What do you think, Pauline?
Retrospect, right?
Yeah, exactly. 2020.
Exactly. Well, Gavin, I am so appreciative of you spending this time with me. I really enjoyed, like I always do, our conversations, and I hope that you did too. Now, quickly, how can people find you on social media and on the internet so that they can reach out to you should they need a home inspection or even just some questions, and any real estate agents that want to connect with you?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's been great, as always. So you can reach me 647-404-9981. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. Text me www.homeinspectionperfection.ca. It's there.
Very good.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'm more active on Instagram and TikTok as well too. Home Inspection Perfection, which reminds me I should probably post some more posts.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again sometime in the future.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. I'll stop the recording now. That was really good.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So stop.